Good morning. It's Laura from McNeely Garden Studios, and I'm here to talk to you today, Tuesday at 10. And we're going to be transferring a design that we're going to paint a little later in my membership. But how many of you struggle with transferring designs? You know, not everyone can just draw things or just paint things, but sometimes you need a little help, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I think a lot of times people think, well, I'm not a real artist because I don't, insert whatever. And painting your own design or drawing your own design on something, whether it be your design or someone else's design, it still has to be transferred, if that's what you're doing. And it's okay. So I'm going to show you, I think 6 different ways, explain to you at least 6 different ways to transfer this. And I'm going to show you some other things too. We're going to take your artwork up a notch by creating nice edges, and something that people really get excited about, mixing muted colors in watercolor. It seems to be quite a difficult thing. If it doesn't come in already mixed in your palette, sometimes people are like, but I want a much softer look. And you can mix it. You can mix it, and I'm going to show you how. Okay. I see some people. Let's see. Perhaps say good morning so I can see who you are. But anyway, we're going to go on, and I'm going to show you the first way that you can transfer if you have a design. So I'm going to be painting Pink Promise in my membership, and it's a lovely design. It really, let me show you finished. Isn't that, look how nicely I match with that. So this is the finished piece. It's got some metallic colors on there. I love the bees. These, I don't know, these are kind of like camellias, I think, but if you happen to be a plant person like me. But how are you going to transfer the design? One of the ways you can do is the old-fashioned typewriter carbon paper. This stuff, you can see I've used it before. This stuff you can use a million times. I mean, this stuff is very useful. You can get a package of it, and you can literally use one page over and over and over and over until it just doesn't have any ink left on it. But I will say I started with this one because it's really not your best option for watercolor, okay? But you take the shiny side and you put it down, and then you put your design on top of your original paper, and you press down on there, and it will transfer the design. It is not the best option for watercolor. So I'm going to put this off to the side because we're not going to use that. You can also take a plain piece of paper and lay down some lead and color over on the back side, color over where the design is, and then place that lead down onto your surface where you're going to be painting, and then draw over the edges, and that lead will transfer onto your page. So that's 2 ways. There's a lot of times that I do something that's like a stencil sort of. I will actually take a piece of, I take my design, a pair of scissors, and cut out the outside of the design, kind of the basic design. Sometimes I'll even get smaller scissors and cut some of the inside things. And then you can lay your paper over your original substrate that you're going to be painting. And oh, good morning, Laurie. And good morning, Jacob. So you can create your design on your, whatever you're going to be painting on that way. But my favorite is just light through the, good morning, Donna, light through the design. And you can achieve that with just daylight outside of a window, put it up against your window, and you can create that design. You can trace it right on there. You can put it on a lampshade, or what I like to do is put it on my little light box. So this is my little light box. You can find them almost anywhere. It just, because I do it a lot, I have one and I enjoy it very much. So we're going to be tracing this design, and I'm going to turn you down to my table so you can see what we're doing. Okay, hold on. Here we go. I think I'm going to have to put you up a little bit. I've been filming a lot, so there we go. Here we go. So make sure, I'm going to turn this off because I think it's going to help you be able to see a little bit. But I'm going to put this design right in the middle. And when we do this a little later in my membership, I'm going to also offer these, and which are going to be for the mat in the back. But if you decide that you're going to use that, kind of remember that you need to leave a little more space on the side, because you're going to have to trim the original, down a little bit. So anyway, we're going to go, and I'm just going to, it's best when you create designs to sort of do the basic shape. You don't have to put all these lines in. Draw it kind of, lightly, very lightly. And on this design, it's not completely drawn in because there were gold accents there. I am going to kind of do most of the lines on the bees because I want them to look very uniform to each other. And when you're kind of ad-libbing, it doesn't always turn out as uniform as you might want. And so what I do in my membership is I like to lift midlife creative ladies up by helping them express themselves and process their life through art. And so later when we're doing this design, we're going to be talking about, excuse me, quiet preparation. I kind of buzzed out there for a second. I don't know, wherever it is that you live, it's starting to become spring. And I don't know what it is that gets you, but the pine is just starting to come out where I live. The cars are all yellow, and so it's got me kind of choked up. All right, now I'm going to kind of do some of the basic design of the flower, just so I know the flowers from the leaves. Because when we're going to be putting down the colors, we are going to mix some of the pink with the green, but we don't want it mixing, we want to have a little control over that. So I'm just kind of giving myself an idea. And if you notice, I lift this up off of the light so that I can see what's on the page. Because when you're doing this, all you can see is what's coming through. So you can't see what you've actually drawn, and you won't know if you missed some or not. I think the most exciting part of this design, besides the chat about, you know, quiet preparation, and that's so important, particularly this time of year, but anytime really. I mean, it's so nice to show up prepared, isn't it? And in life, you just never know what you're going to be showing up to sometimes. And so it's nice to have already done the work. Let's see. But mixing your colors is going to make all the difference, because this is a very subtle, soft design. Okay, I think I've got it all. Here we go. So mixing your colors is going to be important. All right, so I'm going to remove the tracer, the template, and I'm going to remove the light box and turn it off. There we go. And I like to create a really, to me, it just gives such a nice professional look when you have a border. So this is just a plastic cutting board from just almost anywhere. And this is frog tape from that's designed for delicate surfaces. And I would say that my watercolor paper is pretty delicate surface. So I'm going to give that kind of maybe a 1/4 inch. And this just takes practice to kind of get it on there even on all 4 sides. And straight. Straight is nice. Now you may look at this design and think, I want to put words on it, you know? Well, that's fine if you want to put words on it, but I would put the design up or down, you know, one way or the other. And now that I've said that, I am going to bring this down some. Because I want to use it, I want to use the papers I just showed you as a mat. And so I'm going to bring it in a little bit, so that when we paint the background, it will have a bigger edge there. Does that make sense? All right. Yep, I'm liking it. All right, so we're going to get this tape down, and then we're going to start creating our muted colors. Color really affects your mood. It affects a lot of things. Now, I want to make sure that I have, see, that's a little bit farther from that bee, so I'm going to bring that in just a little bit. I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to bring it in a little bit on this side. And I'm going to take it out a little bit on this side. I want that bee to have a little bit more flying room. There we go. So you're kind of looking at the design and making sure that it's masked off. Usually I start off with, you know, the design, and I just put it even all the way around. But this time I want to center the subject for a more cohesive look there. Okay, so we're going to put this off to the side so that I can use it a little bit later. But this is kind of a little pro hack that I have here. I have a little water bottle, and I always spritz my paint. Give it about 30 seconds or so, and it will reactivate the paint. Let me check it, make sure you can see. Actually, we're not going to need this, I think. Okay. So, what I do is I like to have these palettes, and you can buy them just plain like that. Excuse me. And a lot of times I'll have like sets of colors in there. So I created these colors so that I don't have to do them again, you know? Because these are not the colors that came out of the wells of my watercolor. And so this is just a baby wipe. And I'm just cleaning this out because that's the nice thing about watercolor. You can mix it up and just let it dry. Just leave it in there, let it dry. And you can use it again. You just wet it and use it again. So that's what I had done here. I had left some paint because I was doing kind of a series of things and I wanted all the colors to look alike. But, all right, so we've got that all clean. Get my little fingers clean too, because you know what'll happen? I'll end up with a fingerprint on my thing. All right, so I'm going to take a paintbrush that just has kind of a nice little point on it. I'm going to wet my brush. And we're going to do these colors here. And so to make muted colors, I like to use a base color. And you use the opposite color on the color wheel to dim it down. And you just have to kind of play with it to practice. But I'm going to use the base color of orange today. So if we're going to be making this blue, you see how bright this blue is compared to this blue? It's because it's mixed with the opposite on the color wheel. So we'll start with that. And you just have to play with the the amounts, the amounts. So I'm going to take this color of orange, and I'm just going to kind of put some in all the wells because we want them, it just kind of unifies all the color. I'm also going to put a little bit of this ochre in there, which is also sort of an orange. And I would advise, if you're going to be making a design, that you, with custom colors, that you make up enough to finish the piece. Because if you start trying to mix those colors up again, they will never be exactly. You probably can get them close, and with a little practice, you will, certainly. But when you're just getting started, sometimes you got to give yourself a break. All right, so all of the colors that we're going to mix today are going to have this orange base, okay? So I'm going to get this blue, and blue is a pretty concentrated color, so you need to start with very little to start with. And so you see how it's already kind of making it a little bit brown? We're just going to keep mixing it until it gets to a more blue color. See, now it's brown. until the blue overcomes the orange. I started with a lot of orange. Anyway, it's starting to come out. I really got a lot of orange in there. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to suck up some of the orange. There we go. It was like magic, wasn't it? Okay. So now we have a nice muted blue. Like that. Okay? And if you want more, just put some water in there. Just know that the more concentrated it is, the deeper the color is going to be. All right, now we're gonna do this green. We're gonna start adding that. This pan I refilled with tube paint. And sometimes it comes out. All right. Now we got, so I have this color and this color. We're also going to be using sort of a magenta, pinky magenta. So I'm going to use this one. Oh, that's so pretty. I don't want it to get too pink. It's not going to take much. I think I'll put just a tiny bit of red in there. But see, it's still sort of muted. There we go. Oh, I love that. So pretty. So pretty. Okay, and so this background color, we're going to kind of do, this is a brown. This is kind of a Bambi, Bambi brown. And this one you have to kind of play with because I want it to be kind of a tan. And I know when I get it sort of close, I'm going to add white. That's just me. A lot of people don't do that. They don't add a lot of white with watercolor, but I think it helps. It's just my own taste. And you know what? When you're an artist and you're doing this and you're doing it for yourself, that's what you do. You do you. Now that's got kind of a pink, a little bit more pink in it than I want. So if you want to mute that down, let's take this red. If I can get this to move. You take this red and you look on the opposite side. And so we're going to put just a tiny bit of green in there just to mute that down a little bit. And already I'm liking that a little bit better. That looks good. So now we're all ready. We've got our colors for our project. I'm going to bring you back up here. Hey, Lori, how are you? So I'm going to get off of here today and I'm going to go get something to eat. And then I'm going to meet my members in Art and Answers, and we're going to paint Pink Promise. Okay? I'm so excited about it. I love this design. Even though it's a Christian symbol, the chat is not like that at all. It's about preparation, but it's not necessarily. It can be taken that way, but so thank you so much for coming and seeing me every Tuesday at 10. If you have not seen the Tuesdays at 10 from this past month, from February, there was the Valentine's and the Fire Horse and Mardi Gras mask and the tacos. Remember we made tacos? And then the torn layers. They all lead up, all the lessons, all the life lessons lead up to this, to add to this lesson. And if you were kind of tapped on your shoulder during this month, and you really kind of resonated with the things that I was saying, we weren't just making art, we were learning some things too. And it's all what we do in Art and Answers. That's the work we do there. So if you're interested in that, and it seems to be kind of pulling you in that direction, doors are going to be open after we finish painting today. So today's the day for only 3 days, and then the doors are closed again. So if you want to join Art and Answers, now's the time to do it. Laurie says that she loves my crown. Thank you so much. Let me tell you, I made this crown to wear in my daughter's wedding because this was basically the color of my dress. And it turned out so lovely. I really enjoy it very much. And you may get to see it in person. So thank you everyone for coming and supporting me every Tuesday. And I just feel the love, and I'm so glad that I'm able to serve you in this way. So you have a pleasant week. Tell your friends that Art and Answers is open. It's not open very often, but we're going to be doing the thing. See you soon. Bye. And you members, I'll see you at 11.